fundamentally for creative people. They're not hung up on fixed definition of what any form of life or reality may be.
The alley shuffle.
Jerry Rice is
People who achieve real greatness don't fit the formula at all. In fact, they break the mold.
I never accepted the order of a teacher.
The great players have a personality that shines through in their technique and how they apply it in their sense of artistry. What they're doing isn't just taking part in a game, it's also a performance.
There are what appear to be many paradoxes.
Rocky Marciano was shorter and had a very short reach.
I had to get low to get in close on an opponent.
He never lost.
Do you feel like you have better genetics than...
No.
I didn't have that strength and size. Part of my creativity was survival.
A lot of creative work comes out of a flash of insight, but then you need the skills and the hard graft to make it work.
I had to fight for everything that I had.
We've lost our creativity and imagination. It's so structured now.
If you provoke conformity, don't be surprised if that's what you get.
You cannot be a good strategist unless you are also a philosopher.
Everything slows down just a little bit. The way I visualized it, the way I dreamt about it, it happened that way.
Wow. Gabe Polsky, In Search of Greatness. What an amazing movie. I want to first welcome all the folks watching online, Build Series. Thank you for showing up here and learning about this incredible, incredible film. I want to talk to you, Gabe, about this movie. I've watched it, and I felt like this was a unique look into my own mind on some level. Not that I'm saying that I was great, although we can say it.
I'm really, you know, when I heard you were doing this with me, I flipped out and was incredibly honored and excited. And thanks for doing this, by the way. So I just want to say.
No, my pleasure. I mean, I want to get into the crux of it because when you started out this project and you were dreaming this up, why did you choose it, first of all? And did you have an idea of where it would go? As a documentary filmmaker, you know, it's not the same as making a motion picture and having a beginning, middle, and end. But did you have an idea in terms of how this would end up and of course, where it's gone?
Yeah, so you know, I've been thinking about all these things my whole life, you know, the idea of what is greatness and, you know, how it can be cultivated. And you know, I grew up playing competitive sports and I ended up playing Division I hockey. But, you know, ever since I was a kid, you know, I went to the stadium because I wanted to see something magical happen. And I wanted to see, you know, something I've never seen before, you know, the magic, the creativity. And really that's why I was, you know, going and spending money. Those great athletes that are in the film, the Michael Jordans, the Messis, all of them, when they have the puck, when they do something interesting with it, you know, that's creativity. That's the essence of sport. But then, you know, when I would go back and to my own team and try and emulate these guys, oftentimes, first of all, they were never teaching this kind of creativity in sports. I don't know why, but they didn't sort of allow you to sort of experiment and encourage creative thinking and playing. And so that was kind of, I don't know, I guess confusing or surprising. And then when you tried to be creative, you're oftentimes, you know, punished for it. You would end up on the bench, you know, why are you doing that? That's showing off. You got to do exactly as you're told. And it got worse and worse as basically you get higher and higher up the food chain. And so I was always sort of baffled by this and felt that it was an incredibly kind of destructive attitude, you know, where the systems that are meant to cultivate, creativity and innovation, actually do the opposite. It's very strange, and especially in sport. I don't know why, but it's a culture of kind of sometimes too narrow-minded, and a lot of kids get discouraged at an earlier age where they could just be having a great time playing sports, learning and learning the lessons, and I saw that as a tremendous problem, and I didn't understand sort of why no one was communicating this. We spent so much money on sports media and in the sports world, but no one talks about this stuff. So
yeah, and it's like the holy grail. Like I think that as when I look at my little kids, my daughters, they play soccer. They dream of one day being on the women's national team, right? But the reality of that actually coming to fruition is so small that we're building these little kids to be professionals, but we're taking away this play element. And you kind of hit on this big topic that actually was a really teachable moment for me as a parent. Talk about how important play is and unstructured play is for our children, and how important it was and how impactful it was for the folks that you highlighted in the film.
So if we accept this idea that the greatest athletes of all time are artists and they're creative, that's why we go and watch them. We want to see what they do. They're more artistic than the others, let's say. Let's accept that. So how do you nurture that? How do you do that? Right? It's the way is just to play and experiment and trial and error and be allowed to fail and understand your strengths and weaknesses. It's all that's what it's all about. And greatness is really, it sounds cliche, but it really is all about having fun. I mean, that's the bottom line. I mean, the people who are doing the best in what they do, it doesn't matter if it's sports or anything else, they really love what they're doing. They're having fun. And it's joyful. They're like a child when they play. And as soon as that's sort of taken away, that's when problems start. When kids are forced to do things, because, listen, no one will do a good job if they're forced to do anything. So.
Yeah, and I think that at the end of my career, everything was becoming so analytical and data point centric that we were focused on trying to just get the ball in our attacking third and cross the ball in, because the research showed that the more times we were on our attacking third, the more chance and more likely we were going to win the game. But in terms of talking to our kids, it's like we're setting them up for failure, not only because I think the youth sports system is completely broken, but highlighting this specific thing in this film, I think, is going to, very much teach parents everywhere how important unstructured play is. So I really want to thank you for that.
The most important thing. I mean,
for sure.
There's nothing as important as that. So.
And then I want to know why did you choose Gretzky and Jerry and Pele? Like, why these guys, and how was it trying to secure these interviews, and were they good guys? Like, were they nice?
Yeah, so like it was very challenging, as you might imagine, to secure these guys, because they have nothing to prove. Look, they already did it. Anything in addition to kind of media-wise or whatever is basically a liability, right? What do I need to? I don't need to prove anything. I don't need to say anything. I'll just shut up and stay the greatest of all time. So what do they need? So I had to persuade basically them or their management for months and months and months that I was doing something different, that this is very, a special idea that is a whole, I think, redefining what sports is. They couldn't get it through their head. Somehow it worked. These are athletes that, when I was a kid, I was inspired by, and I think it's sort of, I was going for kind of athletes that were basically undeniably the greatest of all time in their respective sports. You can't get everybody you want, and I'm not going to talk about the people that I didn't get, but you do the best you can, and I knew no one was going to listen to me. Who cares? Gabe Polsky, they want to, if anyone's going to deliver the message, it's got to be the greatest of all time, because they say, well, that guy, he wasn't that good, or this woman, or it has to be the greatest, And the risk is that maybe these guys didn't agree with me or didn't, see it the same way, or you know what I'm saying?
Of course.
And when I started talking about these things with them, first of all, they didn't even know why I was there. the message never got through to them. When I sat down with them, they didn't know. They just said, okay, well, you've got, this amount of time. I'm just doing a regular interview. And so when I started getting into it and talking about these things, they were their eyes lit up, because it's so rare that they get to talk about the creative aspects of the game and, everything from parenting, all the things in the film. And they understand that they like it when somebody can look at what they do on a deeper level and how that artistry of it. What is that artistry?
And I think that as a pro athlete, what was so amazing and eye-opening for me, because that's how I felt. I felt like my whole body just went, I was like leaning in and wanting to know more, not just about what they felt and their experience, but even I wanted to know more about all the other greats. Like, what was their experience? And the translation from athlete, right? Because these men that you talk to are all professional athletes, former greats, but the translation to the everyday person is so wound inside the theme of this movie, because we are all the greatness, right? We're all the greatest of our own lives. And I think that was so beautiful how you were able to pull out these very special qualities of these guys that made it to the highest level of their sport. How do you define greatness, though? Like, what is your definition of greatness?
It's a great question. It's a hard question, but and I'm starting to see images of, like, these guys in the film and Steve Jobs and, these guys. It's people who almost the intangibles who, clearly statistically, there's a positive correlation between, like, creativity and also statistical dominance. Look, Gretzky, all these guys, they are, but it's almost like there's a spiritual element to it and a deepness, but that when you're watching it, you're seeing something that's so seamless and beautiful and graceful, but, creative. Again, I'm seeing something that I've never seen before. When you see an artist, a new artist that pops up on the scene or whatever, that like blows your mind. Why? Because you want someone to blow your mind. That's what creativity is. That's what performance and sport is. Acting, anything. It's like you want something new and great. Obviously not just new and it doesn't move you. That's also not powerful. It has to connect with somebody. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I think that, we're in such an interesting time because we're so statistically motivated, right? If I have this many goals and this many assists, then I'm going to get this many dollars, right? And the way that the creativity piece is so elemental and important for every athlete and every person is really important. And we are all artists, right? I actually, earlier in my career, Mia Hamm, she talked about this craft. And I thought, that's weird. Why would she use that word? And truly, it is what it is. It's a craft that you are continually honing every single day. I think that when we talk about greatness and we talk about all the things that go into it, it is not anymore, in my mind, and especially after watching this movie, it's not about statistics. It's about the entire human experience and how they developed, how they grew. I mean, watching and listening to Gretzky and him watching a hockey game and tracing where the puck went throughout the entire time. I mean, there's technology now that does that for you, right? That can show where the puck or where the ball lives for the most part of the game. What did you learn? Like, what was the biggest thing?
It's almost like going to an art museum and you go to a painting and then you see someone trying to analyze every stroke and how did this stroke and it goes at this angle and then you start writing about it. It just takes away from the whole experience. You can't analyze things like that.
So,
you know?
What did you learn? Like, what was the biggest takeaway that you felt you got out of not just making and completing this film, but even now in the aftermath? You're getting some Oscar buzz. Like, are you excited? The film drops today. Everybody needs to go see it. What was the one big takeaway that you learned from creating this film?
Oh, man. It can be very lonely if you're trying to be creative in this world because there's a lot of systems that kind of get in your way, basically. Very, very lonely. And, you know, to get validated by, you know, the greatest of all time, and they see it the same way, and sort of they had to, they never compromised their vision, and sort of there's something, now looking back on it, it's just, I guess that's what it's all about. All that sort of, I guess, struggle seems to make sense now.
And now that it's getting some Oscar buzz, what does that feel like from a filmmaker's, creative's perspective? You know, in terms of greatness, you are one of the greats of making films, and you are proving that with this Oscar buzz, and there will be statistical elements to that, but how validating is this for you as an artist in terms of what your vision was and seeing how it's kind of come to fruition?
I mean, I think you'll understand this, that there's nothing kind of better. I can remember, you know, when you play in front of like a stadium full of people, and you get on the ice and your field, and it almost like you're free. It's just an amazing feeling to perform in front of people and communicate your ability, your skills. It's just like almost like this liberating thing. I don't know, and I don't get the exact same thing out of filmmaking, but you know, when I make a movie that people watch and they just love it, you know, and they talk to you about it afterwards, and it moved them. There's something just great about that feeling. As far as like Oscars and stuff like that, I mean, I don't think it's healthy to really pay attention to that stuff. I mean, it helps your career because obviously, here's the thing: everyone wants playing time, right? I mean, you want to be on that field. You want to
the ball.
You want to keep playing. Give me the ball. I'm going to do something.
Yes.
And if you get awards and whatever, that helps you get the ball more. Get it. Keep. You know, you want to make things. You want to perform.
Right. It's not about the end result. That is what drives
you want to keep making things.
Of course. And as an artist and as a former athlete, I totally understand that. Seriously, this film was moving. I can't believe how much I enjoyed it. I think that we were able to explore into the minds of real greats and people who I think in 10 years, we were talking backstage, in 10 years, the conversation might be even different about how much more creativity is going to be impressed upon our younger generation, and how important it is to make sure that it's not just about the statistics. And all greats will tell you it's about the imagination and the play. So thank you for making this beautiful work of art, for me to be able to show my children, and for hopefully the rest of the world to show their children too.
Thank you. I mean, one thing that I say about this film, and I fully believe this to be true, is that it's just as much about mental health, this film, and happiness, as it is about anything like greatness or whatever. This is a film about life and how we can, you know, be our best selves, and nurture, I mean, happy kids, and you know what I'm saying?
It's amazing. I want to thank you. I want to thank Guru and Tammy from Verizon for being here, and Build Series for having us on. This is my first time. I think I did amazing. You did better.
Thank you.